Good evening, pallets and mercs. Today we're going to be having a look at BattleTech, the Clint, by Big Red 40. Now I have to say the Clint is one of the few that I have a tiny bit of experience with, but it's one of the few medium mechs that I just haven't seen too much of. I think it was featured in MechWarrior 5 for a little bit. Could have been a mod. It's been a while since I've seen like the vanilla version of it, so I want to see what this medium mech has to offer. It looks like the Shadowhawk in the way that it's kind of been just overlooked a little bit. So let's have a look at the loadout, see what it's got going on, and grab your snacks, grab your drinks, and let's roll the film. Alrighty, BattleTech the Clint. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this up a little bit. He does get stuff, so he automatically gets a like for this one. See it?
In this video, we're going to be going over a mech which is often looked over in the history of BattleTech. An older design within what many consider to be a cursed weight bracket, we are going to be discussing.
Oh no, is it the 40-ton weight bracket? Because there's only one good mech I've seen so far in that weight bracket. The Whitsworth. What was it, 3 medium lasers and 2 LRM-10s? Yeah, there really hasn't been too many. And as far as the Clint goes, as far as my experience goes, it's a decent battle mech, but we'll see. We'll see. We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Andoran Industries Clint. A medium mech weighing in at 40 tons, this battle mech was engineered with multiple purposes in mind, and to satisfy consumers with a unit which could be bought for a low upfront cost. It's interesting to note that this design was hardly finalized by the time production began, with massive changes happening between the initial run of prototypes up to the first 200 Clints, including changing out its heavy autocannon in favor of a lighter variant, as well as redesigning a unit to undercut anyone else who might be designing a similar concept of mech, including making the unit...
See, here's the thing. When you're making a 40-ton mech, the last thing you want to do is try to undercut anybody else or basically try to cut corners in any way when it comes to planning. When it comes to planning, you need to have a solid plan of what you're going to put into this battle mech. Because otherwise you end up with the assassin or the cicada, which just, you have very limited space to make this work. So you need to figure out whether this thing's going to go fast, you want armor, or you want weapons. Because you're getting one of those three. You're getting one of those three, and it has to do its job very well in that regard.
Less repairable with modular components and having many components of questionable quality, ensuring effective usage was actually low. Originally constructed in 2507 in its standard configuration, and up until the First Succession War, the Clint couldn't be called a favorite of technicians who were asked to repair it, or a favorite of the pilots who were asked to rely on it. All the same, it persisted through the age of the Star League and through the Succession Wars.
I wonder why.
As well as into the New Ages, despite its cost-conscious design. The Clint was designed to cover the role of reconnaissance and to be a low-cost medium mech for standard engagements against machines in the same weight category.
Trying to have a reconnaissance vehicle in 40 tons is just the silliest thing to me.
The C.
So here's my thing about 40-ton reconnaissance units, right? It makes no sense to have a reconnaissance vehicle in 40 tons or higher. Yes, you can achieve those speeds, but why would you ever do that? There's an age-old saying that comes from the Age of War. Life is cheap. Battle mechs are expensive. So why are you trying to do anything other than just grab a locust, which you can field 2 of, by the way, or if you can't find a locust for whatever reason, there's like 500 variants of the exact same damn thing. You have the Thorn, you have the Wasp, you have the Jenner. All of these mechs can go at least 100 kilometers an hour. Most of them can. Right? And even if they can't, even the Flea can go that fast. Like, I'm not saying these are good mechs by any stretch of the imagination, right? But they're cheap. So if it happens to blow up, who cares? Because you're going to replace it pretty soon anyways. So again, I look at the 40-ton bracket and I go, why are you trying to make reconnaissance units, especially with something that's heavier? I'm not saying 40 tons should be brawler. I'm saying 40 tons should be something else. Skirmishers. Anything.
LNT-2-3T
not good at that either.
is the standard model originally built on contract for the SLDF, and would be the primary unit seen throughout most of the Inner Sphere until later generations. The 3T is powered by a Pitban 240 engine, which weighs in at 11.5 tons, and allows the Clint to move at a maximum speed of 97.2 kilometers per hour. In addition, it supports the maximum total jump jets, letting it clear distances of up to 180 meters. For its weapons package, the Clint supports an Armstrong Autocannon 5, as well as 2 Martel medium lasers. For heat management, the unit possesses a stock of 10 standard heat sinks, included in the engine. But in terms of defense, the Clint possesses a passable 4.5 tons only. The AC-5 gives the Clint some firepower at long range, and its medium lasers being mounted in for close encounters. The design
180 kilometers an hour is pretty darn fast. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. You can definitely get this thing moving. I just don't know if it's worth... I don't know if it's worth the additional C-bills, though, to field the AC-5. Because, again, this is Scout. It's going to come down to the armor. It's going to come down to the armor real quick here.
Because of its lack of construction after the First Succession War until the initial clan invasion, there was always a limited number of Clints, despite their prolific spread throughout the Inner Sphere. In spite of this, there were attempts made on the Clint to enhance its capabilities and broaden its horizons as a unit. The original
I would hope so. I would hope so. Because again, it's like, oh yes, we're going to make a medium reconnaissance unit with an AC-5. It's like, so what are you actually trying to build here? Are you trying to build a sniper? Are you trying to build a reconnaissance unit? Like, what are we trying to do here? Because the AC-5 makes little to no sense to me on a unit like this. It's like, ah, yes, I have 180 kilometers in this engine, lightly armored, and I have an AC-5. Yeah, this isn't going to go bad at all. You know, just random explosion later. Probably somewhere along here. Ammo explosion feeds up into head. explodes this entire unit, but see
Prototype
what the
model of the Clint,
refits
the
go.
CLNT-1-2R, is considered to be a more capable variant in terms of its direct fire, but at the cost of mobility. It strips out the AC-5 as well as a medium laser, as well as the onboard jump jets, in order to install an AC-10 autocannon, while keeping its respectable speed and engine. Popular among pilots despite being less capable in some ways, it's extremely rare to see this one, though some Clints were field refit into making this a pseudo-match of the original.
So I think this is better. I do think this is better than the AC-5. However, you know, taking one of the medium lasers off as well as the jump jets, I don't know. I think it's an interesting solution. However, removing your jump jets to fuel more firepower as a reconnaissance vehicle, I don't know. It's like, this is what your intended role was supposed to be, but now you're trying to field more firepower. Again, this is more a conflict of, my opinion is being influenced by the fact that it's like, I'm like, this shouldn't be a reconnaissance unit, but if you're trying to achieve that, I don't know if the AC-10 works for that. But at the same time, it's like, it would keep you alive. It would keep you alive longer if you had to engage with an enemy. So, I don't know. I think the AC-10 does work. Removing the jump jets, though, can't get onto terrain as well to maneuver. I think it's worth the sacrifice in this particular case. I do like the refit idea.
2R. During the Clan invasion, the Capellan Confederation would begin to retrofit their Clints to a new, more capable version with, of course, new technology. This would be known as the CLNT-2-3U and would replace the AC-5 with an ER PPC, as well as replacing the medium lasers with medium pulse lasers with the saved weight. In addition, it would have double heat sinks installed into the unit to help with heat management. This field refit would spread in popularity outside of the Capellan Confederation, making its way to some extent even into the Federated Commonwealth.
I think the PPC and the medium pulse lasers are a decent refit for this thing. I think, again, it comes down to newer technology and whatnot with the succession wars. And again, the problem is that you've bought the thing, now you have to refit it, and just, my opinion, it should have been good off the bat, but I mean, if you already have it and you have to make sure that this thing will work, this redesign will 100% work. But I'm surprised that it took double heat sinks in a PPC for you to have medium pulse lasers. The medium pulse lasers did come later. I'm more talking about the fact that, like, the medium pulse lasers are, I think they're lighter than the, I think they were, no, I'm thinking the ER lasers, which are 2 tons, I think. Unless I'm messing stuff up. Again, I need to have a technical sheet on hand for these videos. Mostly because, purely because of my own interest into it.
In addition, this version of the vehicle gives the Clint more teeth at range, as well as allowing it to hit harder and more reliably in close with pulse weaponry. A solid refit in an era where refits were not always deemed to be superior to their original designs. The latest version of the Clint, which is used by the great houses of the Inner Sphere, would be the CLNT-2-3L, a further upgrade and production variant of the field refit originally developed by House Liao prior. It would shed the PPC and medium pulse lasers in favor of a plasma rifle and 2 ER medium lasers. The plasma rifle would be the most advanced weapon thus far installed into the Clint as of this time, allowing it not only to directly harm its opponents, but also to drive up their heat, as well as increase the anti-infantry and anti-armor abilities due to its plasma weaponry's additional bonuses.
I don't know if the plasma rifle would have been I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about the plasma rifle because I've never actually fielded the damn thing that often, but it sounds like it could be a decent weapon. I'm gonna say I prefer the PPC, but I don't think the plasma rifle is a bad option. Like between the two, this is an interesting refit, and I would love to test it at least. See if I could be swayed towards
Clint
that
in
one.
its original form, the CLNT-2-3T, is a very by-the-numbers mech. It's cheap, and its weapons and armor are far from woeing in its weight class. It's redeemed by pure speed, but in the 40-ton weight bracket of its time, 97 kilometers per hour is not exactly exciting either. In universe, its high repair cost also makes it difficult to maintain, removing another perk for it. Despite this, the venerable design isn't half bad as the most basic medium variant that is a jack of all trades. While it is not exceptional, it is acceptable under most conditions for its overall cost. The Clint really begins to shine as the new versions of it become available, with better technology and resolutions to its nagging design faults.
This goes for every single, again, for almost every single version of the 40-ton mechs except for the Whitsworth. Because, again, the Clint, off the bat, I would say my opinions of it are AC5, couple of medium lasers makes it better than the other two that we've seen so far with the Assassin and the Cicada. The Whitsworth is still probably going to be better than this thing. Because again, it just needs technology to come along and make it better. I would say the only version worth bothering with is probably going to be the AC10 version, but at that point, you could just get yourself a Centurion at 10 tons, at 10 tons more. And it goes a little bit slower than the Clint. I don't know. I'm just kind of looking at this thing going, earlier I said 180 kilometers an hour, which I should have known is way too fast for any normal mech that doesn't have mask or supercharger. Yeah, no, this thing is just another example of the 40-ton bracket is just cursed. And while this thing is probably one of the better 40-tonners, it's just an odd weight bracket because it's like you're supposed to be recon, but yet you basically look like a discount Centurion. Why? I don't get it.
One wouldn't want to be in an IFV which took fire from a plasma rifle, for instance. The primary weakness of the Clint, in my estimation, in universe is its horrendous maintenance issues. While on the tabletop, it would be its mediocre armor and unimpressive, though not ignorable, firepower. Its firepower would be resolved by newer, better designs, but its overall protection package seems to be the nagging flaw which will never truly leave the design. The Clint is an intriguing design created by grifters looking to profit from the Star League, starting off as a machine despised by technicians and leaving pilots concerned about their reliability, and evolving into a reliable machine with reasonable firepower and an overall solid performance. In many ways, it's the everyman. If you were the average person and you were turned into a battle mech, you'd probably be a Clint. Thank you for joining me here today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. With that, I will catch you in the comment section.
Yeah, that is the Clint. And while I gotta say the AC5 is better than, 90% of the 40-ton weight brackets so far, I just gotta say that I feel like a lot of these mechs are just extremely cursed. And it's like, you're supposed to be a recon mech. Yeah, you look like a discount Centurion. I said it earlier, and I think it's true. It is a very, very mediocre mech, and I don't know if I'd ever field it just because I've seen a Locust and I've seen a Centurion. It's everything this mech was supposed to be. And again, technology has to come along and save it, and honestly, if I had to field it, I would put an AC-10 on it. But again, I would be using it as a brawler or like a skirmisher, because that's what this thing is. It doesn't want to be, but it pretty much is just a skirmisher. So again, the link to this video will be in the description. Please check out the original creator, and it will also be up in the cards. And with that, this has been Annika, signing out.